and actually those difficult calls, those complex queries are now the majority, not the minority. I think that comes with an added kind of watch on people's mental health to make sure that we are checking in on employees regularly enough.
It's no longer the place where your career goes to die, right? It's where your career actually comes to be ignited.
Welcome to the CX Impact Tour. I am Juanita Coley, and as I'm traveling the globe, I'm sitting down with CX leaders that are focusing on what's working, what's shifting, and how they are preparing for the future of this dynamically shifting workplace. Come with me behind the scenes for some of our interviews.
Hey guys, so I am here with Jessica Ham. Jessica, thank you so much for taking the time to spend with me today on the CX Impact Tour in this interview. I'm super, super excited to have you. You could have been anywhere, but you decided to be right here with me. Thank you so much. Tell the people where you're from.
Yep, thank you very much for having me. So Jessica Ham, I'm Senior Customer Experience Manager at National Grid. Been there for 6 months. Prior to that, 16 years experience in energy retail, managing B2B customer contact centres, complaints team and quality assurance.
Awesome sauce. Okay, so you ready for these rapid fire questions? Okay, she signed up for this. Okay, I'm gonna be good though. Okay, I'm gonna be good. All right. So the first question that I have for you is: there's so much happening in this space right now when it relates to customer experience, employee experience, AI. You can't even have a conversation without AI popping up, right? What's, from a leader perspective that's on the front lines, what's actually working?
Yeah, really good question. So I would say there's a couple of things for me. I think personalization for our customers is it's what they expect. It creates less friction in journeys. So customers want a journey that suits them. They don't want kind of a mass customer journey that some of it may or may not be relevant. They expect whoever they speak to understand their needs, to understand their historic conversations. There is an added benefit of personalization in terms of, I believe, a better journey for customers also means a better experience for employees. There's less friction, there's less handoffs. AI enables that to some degree because it helps support the kind of the data flow and the information that an agent can receive to be more aware of what the customer is inquiring about and their historic inquiries. I think the other thing for me is just overall access to data, and kind of customers expect to be able to 24/7 access to information, raise queries, raise requests, download bills, whatever it looks like, which is great for customers, but it also comes with a nuance to employees where actually the queries they get left with are typically the more complex queries, and it's something we need to be really mindful of.
I love that you said that, because I was talking to someone the other day that was talking about the same thing, right? AI peeling off a lot of the, alleviating some of those easier transactions, but then leaving the more complex transactions with the agent. What does that do from a mental health perspective for the agent when they're seeing complex after complex after complex? They're seeing more grievances. What does that do to the mental health of an agent that you're seeing?
Yeah, so I think that's exactly right. So I think what's happening for agents is the easier tasks and the tasks that create a bit of respite in between more difficult calls is typically going, and actually those difficult calls, those complex queries are now the majority, not the minority. I think that comes with an added kind of watch on people's mental health to make sure that we are checking in on employees regularly enough. Those calls are now probably more the majority than the exception, so it's being aware of giving the right breaks, giving the right outlets to kind of download after a call. I think coupled with hybrid working, or typically a lot of contact centres are now pretty much working at home a great deal of the time, you can no longer overhear that call checking on an advisor after the call. So I think our quality management and kind of quality monitoring tools play a part in that, to pick up the sentiment analysis, to understand where somebody might have had a particularly difficult call. How do we check in real time rather than get to the end of the month and then realise actually someone had a really difficult week. But I also think there's an element for employees where we need to give them the space and the kind of autonomy to be able to talk up and say, do you know what, I've had a really difficult day. I need to just download to somebody, or, depending on the business, you might be able to take individuals off calls for a small amount of time just to give them that respite that they're not getting in the same ways we would have done historically.
I absolutely love that, because you're absolutely right. In this hybrid working environment, we have now looked at quality a little differently. Before, quality was for the sake of purely customer experience. Like, hey, are we doing the right things? Are we saying the right things? Now, quality can also be leveraged from an agent perspective to kind of pick up that, the tone, and you can kind of now detect quiet quitting, right? Like when a person is disengaged and they're just like kind of checking the boxes. Yep. You can pick up all of those types of things, stressors. You can, and now coach those from a leadership perspective. So I think you're spot on when it comes to that. Next question I have for you is, what's shifting? I think there's a lot of things shifting, but what's bubbling up to the top for you as a leader?
Yeah, so I think there's a real positive angle to kind of what's bubbling up. I think the contact center and kind of advisor agent roles are no longer seen as frontline entry level roles and then people move on or don't see a career path. So I'll go down that route, and then I'm sure there's other things I can add. But I think actually, particularly given what we talked about around AI, those calls getting more complicated, the demands on frontline agents being more demanding, that's a great skill set to have, and it's tough. But actually, for an organisation, somebody who has the foundation of talking to a customer all day, every day, being able to pick up the phone and answer the question with no insight prior to that, that's a really key skill set that can enable people to move into sales teams or commercial teams and be our future leaders. And I'm really passionate about this, and I think there's a great recognition that those roles are front and centre of a talent pool that, over the next few years, you'll start to see some really successful careers, like leaders come out of contact centres because of that skill set. So I think it is a challenge, and I know that, we need to be mindful of the demands on frontline agents, given everything we've talked about with AI. But I think it's also really raising the profile of frontline teams and customer service teams. And I think that's a great thing for our industry, and anyone who's in it knows, that's a really good thing to kind of really raise the profile of customer service advisors.
I absolutely, y'all know, see, my audience knows I'm gushing right now because I absolutely love that bit. And I know you're passionate about it because I got to catch the tail end of your talk around the Agent of the Future track that is happening here, which I absolutely love that's happening at the conference. Like, we have too many, in my opinion, conferences about customer experience without actual agents that are serving the customers at the conference. So I absolutely love that they have that track. But one of the things that you said is how the role of the agent is changing and how that profile is being enhanced. Yeah. Right? It's no longer the place where your career goes to die, right? It's where your career actually comes to be ignited, right? Because that profile of the agent is being increased because AI is taking so much of that low-hanging fruit that, again, the interactions that you're having to deal with as an agent are more complex. They cause for more cognitive ability, more reasoning, more problem solving. And those are great for roles that are in sales. They are great so these are literally our leaders of tomorrow, and so, next question. Okay, because I will get excited. Okay, Jessica, you got me on the tangent. Okay, last question that I have for you. What do you see that is, how are you preparing for the future, right? So we see what's shifting when we talk about like agent roles and so many other things, but what are you preparing for the future that you're like, this is where we're going and this is what I want to prepare for as a leader?
Yep. So I think there's, again, a couple of things. I think training and investment in our teams is more important than ever. And that, I don't mean system training. I don't mean how to navigate around a screen. I mean the empathy, the soft skills. Because of all the things we talked about, the ever increasing demands, we really need to invest in our people. I think that is something that all organizations should do, probably do, but it needs to be front and forefront of everyone's minds. I think the next thing is trying to get ahead of changes. So it's, we all know changes take time in organizations to bed in. So trying to be ahead of that and trying to kind of preempt what customers' needs are going to be. My view is in the world we live in with 24/7 access to data and information, that is only going to create increased demands. And I think we need to kind of arm ourselves to be able to cope with that without putting too much pressure on our front line. So I think those two things together are kind of it's a bit of a continuous improvement, continuous learning piece, but I think they're the things that we need to really focus on to get ahead.
I absolutely love that. Well, thank you so much, not only for doing the interview, but for being a leader that is thinking about what's currently working and how you are pushing that ahead, what's shifting, and then how you're preparing for the future. I think that is what it means to actually have an impact on customer experience, employee experience, and really help organizations push forward. So thank you for all the work that you're doing.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you guys for tuning in. See you guys soon. Bye.